Hi, it's Jane with Scraptastic Yarns podcast, and today is the 8th of August. We've made it this far. Um, you've seen the laundromat. What a thrilling joy that was. I'm sure you enjoyed watching the clothes dry, right? Yeah, just about as much as I do. It's not something that I enjoy going to because I think it's a waste of time. Um, I'm at home, I could be doing other things. I had a washer dryer, but of course the apartment doesn't come with that. So, gotta go to the laundromat. Um, the majority of this podcast is about shout outs. At the very end, there is going to be a rant. I will tell you. And it has nothing to do with yarn. It has to do with what's happening in the world today. But I will let you know when that's going to happen. And you are more than welcome to listen to it. So, anyway, here goes the shout outs. First of all, there is Crochet A Canada, and of course that is Miss Sandy. And as Billy says, she's got the most beautiful eyes. She lives in Alaska. Beautiful scenery that she's shown us, those kind of things. I enjoy that kind of stuff. And then there is Petra's Happy Place. That is Petra. She is doing a lot also of education, crochet education, about yarns, hooks, those kind of things. But go check out her yarn room. Nice. There's Nikkis Crochet Nook. I've only watched one of Nikkis. I think she has a couple. I might be wrong. I might be confusing her with someone else. But she's fairly new to the game. Let's give her a couple of look-sees. And of course this one, this is Tammy. Tammy's name is very long for her crochet channel. And it can get confusing. It's called Slay the Day with Crochet. It's awful long. There is also a link down below of a group of women. I want to say they're England? Maybe not. A couple of years ago, they did a little video called Knitting Together. And it is knitting and storing it, telling us a couple of stories about buildings where they lived. And it's a very neat video to see. So I'm going to link that down below on before you see these ladies. Links below. And it's just very interesting to see that video and the way they put it together. They haven't done anything recently, but I rather enjoyed that video. It was a lot of fun. Okay, now it's time for the rant. So for those of you who don't want to see this, now's the time for you to exit and move on. I did pre-warn you, if you don't want to hear the rant, you need to move on. Over the weekend, there were some shootings. And of course, basically it was nut jobs. Doing some stinking thinking. And they killed and injured quite a few people. Now, once again, You have stories coming out that even the Gilroy shooting, that all three of these people had mental health issues. We have, everyone wants to blame Reagan for opening up the mental institutes and that kind of stuff. That was a combination of him giving way to the ACLU and the Democrats who continued to push that issue. Did everyone that was in a mental institution need to be in there? No. But during that time, they also changed a lot of the laws regarding placing someone under mental eval watch, or, putting them in for a 24, 48, 72 hour evaluation, giving the person the option to opt out of that. Now, every one of these shooters has been shown that people were well aware of their behaviors. They were well aware that they were not quite right in what they were talking about, complaining about, and probably every one of them should have had a mental evaluation to the point that they could not obtain firearms, but none of them did. They all obtained them legally. There are Democrats and Republicans alike who are very willing to sit down bipartisan and to do some more red flag and in the gun control area, if you want to call it gun control, for a better background check, better mental evaluation. By the way, those in Japan, for them to get a gun, they have to go through, I believe, 2 or 3 mental evaluations before they are allowed to purchase a gun. I have no problem with that. I think a lot of gun owners have no problem with that. Mostly what they have a problem with is when you have Democrats talking about taking their guns away totally from them. I have lived in areas that without a gun could be extremely dangerous. I have visited ranches. I have had friends who have ranches along the border of Mexico and New Mexico, Texas, and New Mexico. And without their guns to protect them from drug runners, coyotes, it's not fair to put them in that position. We have sat here and listened to Democrats and Republicans alike argue about who's at fault. The person that is at fault is the person who obtained the weapon and chose to use it in the manner that they used it. Republicans aren't at fault for it, Democrats aren't at fault for it, and neither are the presidents. We have seen an increase in violence over the past 4 presidencies. I wouldn't blame any one of them for what has happened. I do blame the way that we have changed in our society to the point that we no longer value life whatsoever, and I will say that collectively, that there is this idea that it's okay. Makes no difference. Their life isn't worth anything. We have academia that continues to pound down to white males that they are over masculine, that they are worthless, that they have white privilege. And quite honestly, all of those that have been shooters from these shootings are not masculine. In fact, when you kind of look at them, they kind of look weak, as weak individuals. Everyone wants to try and blame video games. When I used to come home from work after a bad day at work at the hospital, I played Doom. I have thought about playing Call of Duty because I love Doom. But I thought, no, Call of Duty is more about shooting other humans. That just didn't appeal to me whatsoever. But Doom, I came home and slaughtered. That didn't make me want to kill anyone else. Maybe my kids. I'm kidding. Video games are not the reason. Because really, if you think about it, we have a whole generation right now that are playing Fortnite. And if video games were to blame, you're training the next group of shooters. That is, video games are not to blame. There is no scientific evidence that shows that video games are to blame for shootings. I have had people tell me that, yes, but we've had more mass shootings. Americans have more guns. There was a movie a long time ago called Red Dawn, and it was about the fact that the Russians had invaded the U.S., and U.S. citizens fought the Russians using their weapons because they're well armed. I do know I have friends who have told me that they are spooks, spies, if you will. They belong to those three-letter organizations that nobody knows of. They're the kind of people that walking down the street can make you disappear and nobody would know it. But they have told me that many times Russia has thought about invading the U.S. as well as China. But they won't because they know the U.S. is well armed. Having guns is not the issue. It's not the reason there have been more killings. If you look at the statistics of rampage killings, and that's what a mass shooting is called, we are equal to every other nation. The only difference is the weapon of choice. It's the only difference. Since President Trump has become president, we have seen more people on the Democrat side get ugly, call for assassinating him, call to punch him. We have seen sitting congresspeople talk about wanting to beat him up, as well as a vice president who has said this. We have seen Maxine Waters, talk about getting into Republicans' faces, tell them that they are not wanted here if they are a Trump supporter. You have late night hosts that have joked about assassinating the president. You have had singers make videos that were fake about assassinating the president, as well as actors. You have had Black Lives Matter people talk about stabbing Mitch McConnell in the heart, killing him. Antifa assaults conservatives. You have Miss Cortez, who wants to do away and actually calls our border agents Nazis and refuses to condemn the violence that is perpetrated against them. We have seen a lot of hatred come from the Democratic side of our two-party system. They are inciting violence with their words. Words do matter. My sons do not understand why I call the media lamestream media, because they don't always tell you the truth. They don't. And that is called malfeasance journalism, and they are very guilty of that. We have the Democratic Party now, along with many journalists, spouting that Trump is emboldening the white supremacist. White supremacist violence is 0.01% of the violence that occurs in the U.S. That's the latest statistic. Trump has not said anything to embolden the white supremacists. But you know, they always talk about dog whistles. The dog whistles are whistles that you hear. And apparently the only ones that are able to hear that are Democrats and white nationalists. I hear a different dog whistle. I hear a lot of bullying and name-calling. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. Both sides. We had a huge lie that the Democratic Party, many of those members, along with the media, continue to perpetrate against the American public. And that is what happened in Charlottesville, or rather after Charlottesville, when President Trump talked about the situation. He had condemned the white nationalists, Nazis, neo-Nazis, whatever you want to call them. He had also talked about that there were very fine people there on both sides. You had one side protesting, exercising their First Amendment right to protest against taking down a statue and renaming a park. There are a lot of people that don't like seeing that. They're not racist, they're not white nationalists, they're not neo-Nazis. And he also talked about the other side, who wanted that changed and wanted the statue to come down. And they were decent human beings there. Pastors, preachers, everyday people. But the media continues the lie that Trump said the neo-Nazis were very fine people. And that is not what he said at all. There is nothing in that speech that pointed to that. But now you have Democrats and media claiming that's what he said. We had a Democratic congressperson, San Antonio, that doxed his constituents yesterday. Doxed them. He protests that he he didn't want anything bad to happen to him. Bull hockey. He said that information is freely out there. Yeah, but it takes a lot of digging to get it. And then you also gave out where they worked. You know how those on the left behave. The way that they boycott, the way that they protest, they are violent. I have yet to see one boycott anything that has been nonviolent that comes from the left. Does that mean that all of you that are Democrats or are liberal believe that? No. But I have yet to see that. We have seen lies for the past probably 16 years from the media about our elected officials. And they just continue those lies. I think to the point they think that it really happened. That makes them delusional. And then this Joaquin Castro made the comment that he just wanted to make them understand that they need to be careful who they put their money behind. That he's a racist. I've never seen anything racist come from this president. He'll call anybody and everybody out. Should he stop some of his rhetoric? Yes. Should the Democrats stop theirs? Yes. Should Republicans? Yes. But I'm going to tell you this. The ones who are giving neo-Nazis, white nationalists power is not the president. It's not Republicans. It's Democrats. It's the media. Your words are giving them power, emboldening them. So really, you need to cut it out. We need to stop letting our politicians divide us. That's what they want. They don't want us to be able to see what's going on. And I actually had someone tell me that they think the reason that you see so much turmoil in Washington, so much infighting, hating, is because you have a man that doesn't give a damn about their corruption. He doesn't give a damn that they get money from, this lobbyist, that lobbyist. He's there to break it all up. Makes both sides mad. We need to stop letting everyone divide us. I think we need to start calling on our Congress people to stop their childish behavior, to stop their bullying of each other, and start working together. That's the rant. You'll notice I'm in different clothing. That's because I saw something this morning that made me laugh while I was drinking my coffee. And I spewed it out my nose all over everything. So I had to change my shirt. But folks, let's stop this. We have to impress upon our Congress people that if they're going to continue this behavior, we will no longer back them. We have to make them change because they're not going to change. They're going to keep on doing this. It's going to get worse and it's going to get worse. And more people are going to be hurt on both sides. So, need to pray for each other, pray for our Congress people, and really, we need to insist upon that they stop acting like 2-year-olds who can't get their way. Thank you.